Hey, it's Mr. Doolan again, and in case you did try to watch last week's video, we had some technical difficulties and it did not come out the way we wanted, so we're reshooting this week's bullying speech from Mr. Longacre. So if you didn't watch it, we're sorry for those technical difficulties, and if you didn't watch it, here you are for the first time hearing about bullying from Mr. Longacre. So we're skipping 3 questions this week with Mr. Doolan so we can talk about this because October is National Bullying Month, so we are going to be talking about bullying today. So Mr. Longacre is here. You're here and you're ready to be interviewed?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Doolan, for having me on your show. I'm a big fan.
Well, eventually we're going to have you for 3 questions that I come up with, but the questions we're going to ask today are all very serious questions, and the first one is, can you tell us what bullying is?
Absolutely. What bullying is, the easiest way that I could explain it to everybody, it really has 3 components. One, it's mean. Secondly, it's on purpose, it's intentional. And thirdly, it's repeated. It happens more than once, so it's not simply an isolated incident.
Okay, and what, if I were a student being bullied, what could I do about that?
Well, a few things. That's a great question, Mr. Doolan. A few things. One, you can try and ignore the person that's doing the bullying. There's an Albanian saying that says, while the dogs are barking, keep walking. A good phrase that my own dad taught me is the loudest person in the room is the weakest. So you could try to ignore those things. That would be step 1. The second step, if it continues after you ignore the bully, you have every right, and I encourage you and I will support you in standing up for yourself and telling the bully to knock it off, to leave you alone. You have every right to say that to that person. But if those 2 don't work, Mr. Doolan, then you need to look for somebody that's wearing one of these, okay? Every staff member here at Westchester Intermediate School has been trained in bullying. We get trained annually, which means every year. You can report it to any of us. You don't need to go and look for, where's Mrs. Hennegar? Okay, anybody that's wearing an ID is somebody you can report it to. You have other options too. I don't know if you know about these, Mr. Doolan. Mrs. Hurst has a little table over by Gym A, and there's a little box that you can drop her a note, okay, about bullying, and we will act on it immediately. There's an anonymous tip line, and that's on our website, and you can leave us an anonymous tip about bullying happening here at Westchester. It might be happening on the internet or outside of school. We actually have that site. We have those posted right by the drinking fountains because we figure that's a good place for students that you go to, so you can take a picture of that. Maybe with your iPad would be an idea. You can report it by sending me an email. You are allowed to email me. That's perfectly okay. So that again, a trained staff member, which is everybody here at Westchester, can act and put an end to this nonsense, which we call bullying.
And I know it's impossible for us to completely eliminate it, but how can we best eliminate it here at Westchester?
The best way to eliminate bullying is is our goal every year. We don't tolerate it, all right? We don't play around with it, but the best way is really from the student body. Okay, what I mean by that, Mr. Doolan, is the bystander, somebody that sees bullying but then doesn't act on it, doesn't say anything. And if you see something, Mr. Doolan, say something. Again, we need people to do the right thing. And sometimes the right thing is not, the most popular thing, but we need people to step up, because if we collectively, the staff and all 530 students here, make a stance saying that we will not tolerate bullying, we will not have it here. So if you notice bullying, you observe it, I do want you to report it. And again, you can report it as, like I said earlier, you can do it on the anonymous tip line. You can report it to a staff member. You could leave Mrs. Hurst a note. You could send an email to me, whatever. You could stop by the office and ask Mrs. Kolecki or Mrs. Whalen that you need to see me. I'll drop what I'm doing to talk to students. So that's the stance that we need to have all together here at Westchester Intermediate to put an end to bullying. Not only for the kids that are being bullied, that's our first and foremost concern, but also the bully. I mean, something's not right there, Mr. Doolan. And typically, those kids have, issues and problems that we need to address. The professionals here that are trained and have experience to help even the bully to act in this cowardly way.
Great, so that hopefully you got that message. It's not just one person who can stop this. It's a group of people, all of us working together to make sure that bullying is reduced here at Westchester to the littlest amount, the minimal amount that we can possibly have in this building. And the last thing I want to ask, an anonymous source, speaking of anonymous, asked me to ask you this question.
Okay.
I'm not going to reveal who that is. He asked me. Are you going to play the Notre Dame fight song this Friday?
Funny you should ask that, Mr. Doolin. And I didn't play one last Friday. I had quite a few staff members and students ask me, are you going to, play another fight song? Or because there's more than one song that I could choose from prior to a Notre Dame game. And I didn't. We were playing Bowling Green last Friday, which was, no offense to Bowling Green, great school, but not a pretty weak football team. But this Saturday at 6 o'clock, we are playing USC. That's the University of Southern California. I like to call them the University of Spoiled Children. I'm just kidding. It's a very good school if you plan on attending there. But it's just some football humor. But no, I do plan on playing something to inspire the Irish. And I don't, because your show, Mr. Doolin, is on YouTube, so it's worldwide. You don't know, Coach Kelly might be watching our show. I have emailed him a few times and sent him some letters of, my suggestions, but he's never responded.
Well, speaking of emails, if you didn't like that comment about the University of Spoiled Children, just like you can email Mr. Longacre about the bullies, you can also you could email him and ask and complain about the that comment he made about the USC. Have a great week. We hope